Hello, my name is Talon, and I'm doing reviews on multi-tool and knives that I've used for the last several years. And there's two reasons for this. First, I've got more time and experience with the knife, so I've got a little bit more insight I can say about it. And second, you can still find these in different sources for sale, and you might think, is this any good, or will this be good for me? So I might be able to give you some information to help you with that. Okay, first of all, it says Guardian, and on the packaging it said Guardian K3. Now I bought this about 5 years ago, okay? And I had a suspicion that this was made by Gerber, but I wasn't sure. So I contacted Gerber and I showed them a picture of this side of the knife and of this side of the knife. And they said, yes, this definitely was made by them. But it wasn't made in their Oregon factory. So that's the difference in, I guess some Gerber knives and others is some are made in that factory in Portland, Oregon, and some are not. So they said, yes, this was a knife that they made. Now, when I sent them the picture, it did not have this paracord wrap. There was a different handle that came on this knife, and I messed it up. But that was my fault because I got it too close to a fire and it started to melt. So that was my fault. But what I did with this was I coated the handle with hot glue and let it cool. And then I did a basic whipping technique with paracord and wrapped the blade with it. And in the whipping technique, you pull both ends of the paracord when you're done, and it will pull one of the ends of the paracord nice and tight under all of the wraps. This is normally used for making sure the ends of ropes don't fray and things like that, but I like to do it for handles on tools and things of that nature if I've messed up the handle. So in this case, it was my fault I messed it up. There was nothing wrong with the knife itself other than the fact that I got it too close to a fire. So that's my deal. Okay. The handle is 4 inches long. The cutting part of the blade is 3 1/4 inches long. I weighed this in at 3 1/4 ounces. It did not come with the sheath, but I made a leather sheath for it that holds really good, and have my ferrule rod on the sheath. Okay. So I'll take that off. So let's talk about what I've done with this, other than the fact that I melted the handle, being a little careless putting it by a fire. When I get a knife, one of the first things I do is I put it through my own hell test. And in a hell test for me, I don't bang it into rocks. Some people do that, and I like the fact that the ones that make those knives bang them into rocks. That way, we know if that knife can handle it. I did not bang this into a rock. Okay. What I did was took some hardwood, diameter of 2 inches, and I batoned it through that. Now, this blade being only 3 1/4 inches for the cutting surface doesn't leave a lot out the edge for the baton, but that's what I did. And it worked really well with that. So I batoned the 2-inch diameter wood into several thinner pieces, and then I took it and I feather sticked. And at the end of all this, I did a sharpness test. So I actually sharpness test right out of the box, and it's Gerber's basic level of sharpness out of the box, which is usually really, really good. Okay. But after I did the batoning and the feather sticking with this, I just do my little test. It's still shaved hair on my arm. It still cuts through the paper. It does all those sharpness tests if you would want to put it through. So very pleased with that. But then what I did after this, because this whole purpose of batoning through the wood is so I can process some firewood as a basic bushcraft skill and not having my axe with me type scenario, that type of deal, was I would set the blade down onto the feathered stick. I would put a ferrule rod up on top, and I would just scrape the ferrule rod towards me. Now, the spine on this knife is good enough that it would put a shower of sparks down on that feathered stick, and I could get a fire pretty quickly with this. So in all regards of what you might do with a knife for bushcraft, this did very well, even though it's very small. So I'm not going to be batoning, a stick or a log that's 4 or 5 inches, in diameter, just because the length of the blade is not going to be that long. But what I do normally is I will use the blade to make wedges. And then I will put a split in one end of whatever it is I want to split all the way. And once I get that split started, I'll take the knife and I'll set it aside. I will take a wedge and I will put it in that split, and I will baton the wedge into that split so that I can get the wood reduced down to smaller sizes. So I don't baton the knife in my daily bushcraft work, other than the fact that right when I get the knife, I want to see if it's going to be able to take that pounding. Because if I actually ended up in an emergency situation and I had to do it, I don't want the knife breaking on me. I always carry backups, but I don't want to have to use the backup. Anyway, this knife here, solid performer. Okay, I'm not going to rate the handle on that. That handle was my fault. But other than the fact that I melted the handle on this knife is a 10 out of 10. Great buy for $5 at one of the discount stores we just happened to be walking through, and I saw it, and I go, ooh, that looks pretty cool. I wonder if it's any good. So I'd pick it up for $5, take it home and start beating on it. Great knife for $5. If they were asking a higher price, it'd still be a good knife to have. Okay, so that's my 2 cents worth. My name is Talon. This is the Gerber Guardian K3, and got it for $5 at a discount store. So if you see one and you're okay with whatever the price is going to be, it's a solid performer even though it's small. Have a wonderful day, and goodbye.